What's up, YouTube? We got another video coming at you today, a little different angle. And I have this little, you can see this little light thing coming from my lamp right here, because it's the only light I got coming through here. Because some people are like, why do you have all this glare and stuff? But today's going to be something different. Today, we're going to unbox this mint 1990 official NFL card collection from NFL Pro Set. Bought this at a local antique store where I live, and $10. Just something different. I used to collect football cards. I haven't bought any football cards in like forever. And here it is, this box here, being it's from 1990. It's old, so it's probably be a couple part video, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if there's gonna be anything that's gonna be completely worth something, but if I can at least sell one or two cards, if I do, and get my $10 back, then they made profit. So like I said, it's from 1990, and we are now 2020, 30 years old. And some people that might even be watching this video weren't even born in 1990. They might have just been born in the 2000s. What we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into it, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Said hasn't even been opened, so instead of breaking the box, I might just do it this way since the glue already came off. And there's all these packs, so obviously not going to do all this on one video. So we have that set there, that stack there. So this might make this into a couple parts, because I know some people may or may not want to watch all this, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 packs in each. That's what it looks like. 14 photos and stat cards, 1 NFL collectible, 1 NFL Pro Set playbook. Ooh, I could win a trip to the Pro Bowl. I think that's going to work out here from 1990. Remember, some used to come with freaking gum. Gum. You remember you get gum in packs of cards? At least I remember that. So, here we go. Pack number 1. Let's see who we have. First off, look at that. I don't know how well you can see that, but who is that? The first card to open up. Good old Mr. Barry Sanders. What do y'all know about Barry Sanders? So, with this one, here comes like the playbook to win or whatever. Here's just some of the people that we got, which I'm not going to say their names, but we're going to look at them. Tony Braxton, Super Bowl, when it was in the Orange Bowl. They had Super Bowl in Miami this year, but, it just says from 1979. That one. 1990 Pro Bowl, Mr. Howie Long. Good old Mr. Vinny Testaverde. That one. There's that one. Let me fix this thing. I feel like I'm raising it too high. I can see what I'm doing, so at least I can get a good shot for y'all. Mr. Bill Sims. There's that one. 1989 Pro Set Rookie of the Year, Mr. Barry Sanders. And then what's on the back of this one when you open it up? What is that? Oh, it's Barry Sanders and the other one. What is this young gentleman right here back in the day? Mr. Deion Sanders, when he played with the Atlanta Falcons. Come on. What you know about Mr. Deion? There's another little card there. And we'll go through some of this ones again. That one. And so the odds of this one, Mr. Pharrell Edmonds, his 3 sons play in NFL now. One actually plays for my team, the Buffalo Bills. Got Mr. Herschel Walker. I remember hearing about him some back in the day. That one there. There's someone who plays for the team that I like, Mr. Buffalo Bills here. Linebacker, Mr. Shane Collins, I guess, Pro Bowl when they went to Hawaii in 1990. I don't really recall much about this guy, but it's a guy that, someone played for my team. Another old school quarterback card, Mr. Boomer Esiason, played for the Bengals. Look at that. Mr. Deion Sanders playing for the Atlanta Falcons. That's crazy right there. They had Barry Sanders in the other one. Some good ones in there. There's a chance that, if I do, I don't know if I want to or whatever, sell some of them suckers up on the old interwebs and see what happens. Do you have anything good in the back of that one? Good old Mr. Jerry Glanville. I remember seeing something online about him when he played or did something as a coach. Seems like it's been Miami a lot. This one. This one. And what do you know? Mr. Scott Norwood. He got a lot of crap from, from some Bills fans back in the day because he missed that field goal, but stuff happens, right? Mr. Scott Norwood. Chris Carter, when he played with the Eagles. I think eventually he went and played for Minnesota as he finished his career. I could be wrong on that one, but if I can remember, I think he finished his career with Minnesota. Like I said, there's Mr. Jerry Glanville when he coached the Atlanta Falcons. The back of this one. You like with something? Mr. Eddie Brown, wide receiver. Tulane Stadium, New Orleans. Super Bowl there. So Mr. Steve Berline when he played for the Oakland Raiders. Then he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, after that. That's where he finished his career, I think. So when Jacksonville became a franchise, became the first team in Jacksonville, they picked him up, I believe, and he played. The Pro Bowl when they actually played in Hawaii, and now they played in the Orlando area at the Disney Sports Complex, I believe. Don't know if they'll ever go back to Hawaii or who knows. No, we got ourselves another Buffalo Bill Hall of Famer and probably one of the greatest coaches we've ever had, Mr. Marv Levy. If you remember them good old 90 Bills, like I kind of remember, I was still a young kid. He did greatness with that. So we at least got another Buffalo Bills one. Well, look at that. We got ourselves another Buffalo Bill player, Mr. Cornelius Bennett. I actually had a little action figure, I guess a sports figure with this gentleman right here. I still got it somewhere in my collection, but it's a little rough. But as you can see in the background, though, actually he is in the background, but in the foreground, can you see what number 2 is right there? Mr. Doug Flutie, Mr. Flutie Flakes himself. He played for Buffalo for a little bit also, but I think when he got to New England, that was towards the end of his career and retirement. Now I believe this is Mr. Gil Bird, played for the Chargers, but also I believe that his son, Jairus Bird, used to play for Buffalo. I don't recall where he is now in the season. I don't remember where he went somewhere else, but if I can remember, I think this is his dad, and like I said, his son, Jairus Bird, played for Buffalo. And this gentleman right here. Oh, got ourselves another Buffalo Bill player here, Mr. Darryl Talley. I think he finished his career with Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, but he did play for Buffalo. And there we go. Then I remember as a kid or somewhat have heard something about Mr. Ronnie Lott here, a safety for the 49ers. Do not know too much about him, but I feel like that name is kind of up there with a lot of football players. So as you can see, there's this guy from the nose tackle, Mr. Tony Casillas of the Falcons. But who is in the foreground there? but the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jim Kelly of the Buffalo Bills. Now, what's this thing? I don't know too much about this, but here is Mr. Clay Matthews. I remember hearing about him in the football league when I was a kid of some sort, but is there not another Clay Matthews that plays football now? I could be mistaken. Like I said, I don't know too much about football in some degree about players, but this is just stuff and memories that are coming to my noggin here. But I think there is another Clay Matthews that plays football now. Maybe this is as in our father, and the Clay Matthews that plays now is his son, obviously. I'll have to look into that, and maybe I'll put some information on the screen as we speak. So we got ourselves another Buffalo Bills player, Mr. Thurman Thomas, running back. This is obviously from the 1990 Pro Bowl. Mr. Thurman Thomas was a good running back. Towards the end of his career, if I'm not mistaken, he became more of a third down back. Look at that, Mr. Sterling Sharp here, wide receiver of the Packers, but I believe that he finished his career with the Denver Broncos. I could be wrong, but if my memory comes to me correctly, I think he finished his career with the, like I said, Denver Broncos. I'll have to look into that, and also I will put his information, if I am correct and or wrong, on the screen. Mr. Morton Anderson for a kicker for the Saints. I believe at one time he had the NFL's longest field goal of 60-some yards at the time. I'll again have to double check that, but now I know it's been passed by a couple kickers now in today's football. Got ourselves another Buffalo Bills player, Mr. Nate Odoms, number 37. I don't remember much about him. I was still a young kid at the time. Then you got this gentleman here, Mr. Warren Moon, quarterback of the Oilers, which are now the Tennessee Titans. Mr. Warren Moon, he was a good quarterback if I can remember as a kid. Some good rivalries with some other teams and stuff like that. Don't know quite where he finished his career. Maybe if I can find the information, I will put it on the screen. We got ourselves another Buffalo Bills player, linebacker, Scott. I'm going to butcher this last name probably. Scott Radicek. I don't remember hearing much about him. Almost looks like he has a double-plated helmet, but I don't think he does. They used to have these double-plated helmets, not plated, but double-capped helmets they used to wear back in the day. So we got one more pack in this stack here. I don't know if I'll stop after this one or just go ahead and do two stacks in the next stack and then stop there and then do the next one, obviously. So the back of this one, look, we got Mr. Randall Cunningham, the quarterback of the Eagles at the time. So when we get to him, we'll check that one out. Look, it's a Steve Smith that plays for the Raiders as a running back, not the Steve Smith that used to play with the Carolina Panthers that finished his career at Baltimore. Totally different. There we go, another Buffalo Bills player, the one and only Mr. Jim Kelly, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Like we said from the beginning, there is the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles at the time, Mr. Randall Cunningham. I think I remember seeing him play back in the day. So that's the first stack that I have there. I think what I will do is go ahead and knock out this other stack here, and then this will be part 2 of this video. I will open up these here. So let's jump into this last stack for this video. So look here, we have from back in the day, Mr. Troy Aikman of the Dallas Cowboys. They had them good old battles between them and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. So Mr. Troy Aikman. We have ourselves another Buffalo Bills safety, Leonard Smith. And then we have the coach of the Giants at the time, Mr. Bill Parcells. Then Mr. Chris Spielman, linebacker of the Lions. If I'm not mistaken, he played for Buffalo also. I'll have to double check into that. I'll put the information on the screen. I could be wrong, but like I said, some of this stuff from memories as a kid, I think he played for Buffalo at the end, and or there was another Spielman that had played before. I'll have to double check into that. Here's Mr. Gary Anderson, kicker from the Steelers. I think I've heard this name multiple times. I might have already said him once before in the video, but Mr. Gary Anderson. Then I kind of remember hearing about something about this gentleman, maybe just because Hall of Fame, but running back for the Steelers, Mr. Franco Harris. Buffalo and Pittsburgh used to have some good games back in the day. Now this gentleman, I remember hearing about him, linebacker for the Giants, Mr. Lawrence Taylor, tackling machine. Here we go. We got another one that I recall, Mr. Barry Sanders, running back of the Detroit Lions. Then we got Pro Bowl here from the 1990 Pro Bowl, wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Andre Reed, number 83. Then we got this gentleman here, the quarterback of the 49ers, the one and only Mr. Joe Montana. I just have to find somewhere to put all these cards. Maybe eventually I'll get some more card packets and put them and separate them by teams like I have before in the past. And then sometimes part of me, I thought maybe as a kid I heard something about this guy, wide receiver Ricky Sanders for the Redskins. I don't know why, but maybe I've heard of him a couple times before. Again, here we go. We got Mr. the one and only Thurman Thomas, running back of the Buffalo Bills. As you can tell, I know a little more about the Bills because that's my team that I remember growing up as in, and I still support that team daily. Do not jump on other bandwagons and support other teams. I'm not saying that I don't support other teams, but I'm diehard Bills fans. If some other team's playing something and I'm kind of watching it, might root for the other team, but I don't really support, if that makes sense. And whoever plays against New England, it's always the other team. Do not like New England. So here, where I kind of know of this gentleman, Mr. Buddy Ryan, his son Rex Ryan coached the Jets, then also coached the Buffalo Bills. And also his other son, Rob Ryan, was on the same team as the Buffalo Bills as a coach, I believe. Now, I think Rob Ryan still coaches somewhere in the NFL, but Rex Ryan does commentary. Again, we have another Lawrence Taylor card, linebacker of the Giants. As I like to say, I think he was a tackling machine. Maybe through this stack I'll get a Bruce Smith card. I know there'll be doubles probably through this whole stack that I bought, but hey, $10 isn't too bad for a whole old school thing. Since these cards aren't even made anymore, I think there's only one card company left, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Pinnacle or something else. I'll have to double check, and if I got the right stuff, I'll put the information up on the screen. Again, we got ourselves the one and only Mr. Joe Montana, quarterback of the 49ers. And there's a chance that I'm probably missing some other players that I don't know too much about, but free feel to tell me what I got, if anybody else is good there in this collection, in the comments below. Even though this video is still going to be kid friendly, I will have comments and stuff so I can communicate with my viewers. We got ourselves the quarterback of the time, Mr. John Elway of the Denver Broncos, which now I believe he owns the Broncos, or as the general manager of the Broncos. I'll have to look up that information and I'll put it on the screen. I feel like I might have heard of this guy some. Steve I'm going to butcher his last name, I apologize. Steve Wisniewski or something like that. I don't know why, maybe because it's that era of the Raiders being as good as they were then. Here we go. We got somebody, a defensive end, Mr. Reggie White of the Philadelphia Eagles, which I believe he finished his career at the expansion team of the Carolina Panthers. I will double check that information and I'll put it on the screen. Again, here we go. We got the quarterback of the 49ers at the time, Mr. Joe Montana. Who came after Joe Montana? I believe Mr. Steve Young. Now, who's their quarterback? Garoppolo, and they made it to the Super Bowl but did not accomplish the win. Lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Last card packet of this video here of part 1. Let's see what we get in this one. Here at the time we have Coach Don Shula of the Miami Dolphins. Again, we have Mr. Reggie White, defensive end of the Eagles. And again, we have Mr. Bill Parcells, coach of the Giants at the time. Alright, so that includes this video, part 1 of unboxing and 1990 Pro Set NFL football cards. Again, I have these 2 more stacks here, which will probably come to part 2. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to making the next one. Peace.